Welcome to a special collaboration between Beyond the Radar and the Nerd Informer podcast. Get ready to embark on an extraordinary journey across America as we uncover 50 UFO stories from all over the 50 states. From the brush of Arizona to the forests of Maine, each episode plunges deep into the most compelling and mysterious unidentified flying encounters ever recorded. Join us as we explore eyewitness accounts, government files, and expert analysis that will leave you questioning what you thought you knew about the skies above. Only on the Oracle Talk Radio Network.
What's going
Hello,
on?
everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 50 States 50 UFO Stories. And sad to say, we're counting down. We're on our, we're coming down the home stretch here of all of our stories, which has been a wonderful encounter. I can't
Excellent.
speak for my two co-hosts here, but I'm sure they agree that, man, there's a lot of stuff we didn't know. There's a lot of stories from small towns and reputable people. And that's the, main thing about this is, hey, there's a lot of, real reputable people that came out and gave stories about things they saw. And we've traveled all across the decades. We went back to the 50s and 40s and even some as early as last year, going back and forth. So, again, thank you for making this successful. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Wherever you're watching from, you can view us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble. You can listen to us on our Oracle Talk Radio Network app, which is now live on both stores, iOS and Google Play. And for past archives of shows, search us on your favorite podcast platform or become a member on Spreaker or Patreon to hear unheard episodes. So, guys, welcome back to another Wednesday night, another cool amount of stories. I think we'll delve a little more into the stories since we don't have as many coming down the home stretch. We got 6 and a special look at Roswell, too, that we're going to cover today. So, fun stuff, but let me turn it over to both of you. How's your week been, guys?
It's been pretty good. Staying busy, work, just looking at different stories, going over them. And it's so hard because you'll get into 6 or 7 for one state and you're like, you kind of have to pick one that's not too far-fetched, but you want it to be, you want to believe the far-fetched ones are true. So you kind of have to go in between.
Those are the best ones.
I did pick one that's a little but it's believable. I mean, depends, I guess, how you look at it, but everyone's is, not proven pretty much, but proven, as in this one takes the cake for a little weird, but I think
this one takes the cake for weird.
Weird is what we do here.
Yeah.
And I don't mind talking about them either, because you never know. We don't know if they're real or not, and I'd like to believe they are.
Absolutely. And, I think I got for mine at least, and for Roswell as well, I've had to dive into some of the FOIA documents and what was disclosed or released to us peons in the general population, right? So, if anyone ever wants to look up more lesser known UFO files, please, the NUFO RC, the National UFO Reporting Center.org. You can look up cases and different things in the sky there, or submit your own reports if you see anything. And also, if you become a member of MUFON, that one is paid, but their archives are very detailed, and you can even get a glimpse or an image if you were so lucky to get one yourself. So, not every story that has to be a researched and documented newspaper article, internet article, things like that. There's stuff happening in the skies above every single day, and there's millions of reports that you have never heard about. And unless you knew where to look, you wouldn't know about them either.
Yeah, for sure. Most of the ones we've talked about, I had no idea about. So
same here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think there's maybe 2 or 3 that I've heard about it, but that was it. I think just 2.
I mean, we had a flying Walmart last week.
Yeah,
We did have a flying Walmart last week.
This might still be my favorite, just because of
That is
the size comparison.
I know.
Anything but the metric system.
Anything but the metric system is right. And welcome now to everyone tuning into us on our live radio station, Oracle Talk Radio Network, Live 365, or listen to us on the app. I have just troubleshooted while talking there. Now we are live on the radio. That
We can start now.
Do things on the fly.
That's the level of professionalism that I bring. No, I'm kidding. That's the kind of stuff. Yeah. If only I remembered, I would make things a lot easier on myself. But why do that?
It's like I'm running the show.
Exactly.
why make things easier on yourself when you can just go buck wild for 10 minutes?
Suffer a little bit more.
Yeah. If you're not procrastinating, you're not trying.
I mean, that's the way I live my life, bro.
Oh, man.
One procrastination at a time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I mean, who are we trying to impress by getting everything? This ain't school.
It's very true.
We don't have to turn it in by Friday. You know?
Right. We
Let's
can
get
barely
it on
read
the
half the
fly.
words that we're doing.
Yeah. And I remember those reports we had to turn in by Thursday because the teacher didn't want to have to grade over the weekend. That's really what it was.
Oh, absolutely.
No
I was
work
doing
for
that.
them.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if it ain't been by Thursday, you get an
You
F.
get to college and you see who becomes teachers at colleges. Just
Right.
wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll be drinking with them anyway.
Exactly.
That's how it is. And there goes the teacher demographic. Now that we worked on states last week, we're going to get demographics just going down.
I got a couple of states we're going to whittle away at this week.
Oh, there we go.
Good. Let's not whittle. Let's just take the baseball bat upside the mug. But
We're going to be hated by so many.
Oh, it's all right.
I know. We
At
are.
that point,
That's
they'll
what it's going
watch
to
us
turn
to hate
into.
us.
People are going to
that's
turn on into us to hate on.
Yeah, I don't care why they watch. I just can care
They
that they
hate,
watch.
but they still want to watch and listen.
Yeah.
We watched your show and you were a bunch of this and that and the other thing, but you watched.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about that when you were doing your From episode, and I caught like the last 10 minutes of it, and I was kind of commenting a little bit when you were on Chasing Prophecies. And I'm like, I could if I got on the show, I'd bring the whole thing. Like when we're together, it just kind of, I don't think Jenny's ready for that, bro.
I bring it down.
Yeah, I don't know if she's ready for that train to leave the track. Like,
Well, everything is a balance. Views goes up, integrity.
I mean, that's
how
that's what we're counting. That's what we're counting on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, I guess.
I mean, I'm with you.
But we've made the audience suffer through enough of our BS, and it's only been 7 minutes. So how about we get to a state?
But wait, it just started.
Wait,
Wait, there's more.
All right.
They switched
Who
this
wants to
around
go
on me a
first?
little bit, but I guess let's, for continuity's sake and being superstitious, let's start back with Ian. Ian, where are we going?
We are going to North Dakota.
Oh yes,
Let's go to the Badlands.
the Badlands. Yeah, that doesn't have what's it called? I forget the name of the heads.
You're talking about Mount Rushmore.
That's South Dakota.
South Dakota. Badlands goes into that, doesn't it? I think.
Does it? Yeah, it
I
knows
drove
no bounds.
there, and it is nothing. But I mean, it's all right.
So
All right.
I mean,
Fargo, North Dakota.
Pete,
1948.
how you doing, Pete? Pete's another one of our hosts. Please watch him.
versus
11 o'clock
Anxiety.
Mondays, Pete versus Anxiety. As you can see, Pete, they are still here after the storm.
Most of us.
away.
Thank you, Pete. Good checking in on you. Watch some UFO craziness with us.
What's happening, Pete? All right, let's go. We're going to Fargo, North Dakota, October 1948. The Gorman dogfight.
Ooh,
I like the
I
name
that
got me
name.
already.
You did. I'm in.
The Gorman dogfight was a widely publicized UFO incident which took place on October 1st, 1948 in the skies over Fargo, North Dakota. United States Air Force Captain Edward James Ruppelt wrote his best-selling and influential The Report of Unidentified Flying Objects that the dogfight was one of three classic UFO incidents in 1948 that proved Air Force intelligence specialists that UFOs were real, unquote. Along with the Chile's Witted UFO encounter and the Mantell UFO encounter. In 1949, the official explanation made the U.S. Air Force made by the U.S. Air Force was that the Gorman dogfight had been caused by a lighted weather balloon. Interesting. So the background is, although he was only 25 years old when the incident occurred, George F. Gorman was a veteran fighter pilot of World War II. After the war, he became the manager of a construction company. He also served as a second lieutenant in the North Dakota National Guard. On October 1st, Gorman was participating in a cross-country flight with other National Guard pilots. He was flying a P-51 Mustang. His flight arrived over Fargo approximately 8:30 p.m. Although the other pilots decided to land at Fargo's Hector Airport, Gorman decided to take advantage of the clear, cloudless conditions and get into some nighttime flying. Around 9 p.m., he flew over a stadium where a high school football game was being held. Gorman noticed a small Piper Cub plane flying some 500 feet below him. Otherwise, the skies appeared clear. Shortly after he noticed the Piper Cub, Gorman saw another object to his west. When he looked for the outline of a wing and fuselage, he could see none. This contrasted with the Piper Cub, whose outline was clearly visible. The object appeared to be a blinking light. At 9:07 p.m., Gorman contacted the control tower at Hector Airport and asked if they had any air traffic in the area other than his P-51 and the Piper Cub. The tower's answer is that it did not, and it contacted the Piper Cub pilot A.D. Cannon. Cannon and his passengers answered that they could also see a lighted object to the west.
I
So
wonder if it was saw on radar.
they said they don't see anything. So
Could that be a height reason why?
Probably.
maybe.
Wonder if they were even seen on radar.
So Gorman told the tower that he was going to pursue the object to determine its identity. He moved his Mustang to full power, 350 to 400 miles per hour, but soon realized that the object was going too fast for him to catch it in a straight run.
Wow.
Instead, he tried cutting the object off by turns. Gorman made a right turn and approached the object head-on at 5,000 feet. The object flew over his plane at a distance of about 500 feet. Gorman described the object as a simple ball of light about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. He also noted later that the object increased its speed, it stopped blinking, and grew brighter. 6 to 8 inches is not very big
I was just gonna say 6 to 8 inches.
Yeah,
to see from that distance. Like, they're pretty.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not very big.
And that's right over him. He saw 6.
It's 500. He said it's 500 feet above him.
Inches, right? Not feet.
Unless. That's
You know what that reminds me of?
16
That drone
inches.
video. Remember how small that thing was?
a little bit. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
After his near collision, Gorman lost sight of the object. When he saw it again, it appeared to have made a 180-degree turn and was coming at him again. The object then made a sudden vertical climb. Gorman followed the object in his own steep climb at 14,000 feet. His
Wow.
P-51 stalled. The object was still 2,000 feet above him. Gorman made 2 further attempts to get closer to the object with no success. It seemed to make another head-on pass, but broke off before coming close to his fighter. By this point, the object had moved over Hector Airport. In the control tower, and air traffic controller L.D. Jensen viewed the object through binoculars, but could see no form or shape around the light. He was joined by Cannon and his passenger from the Piper Cub that had landed and walked to the control tower to get a better view of the object. Gorman continued to follow the object until he was approximately 25 miles southwest of Fargo. At 14,000 feet, he observed the light at 11,000 feet. He then dived on the object at full power. However, the object made a vertical climb. He tried to pursue, but watched as the object passed out of visual range. Last sighted at 9:27 p.m. At this point, Gorman broke off the chase and flew back to Hector Airport.
So that really was a dogfight then. He engaged in multiple different maneuvers. He really engaged with trying to cut it off, and I gotta say, major credit to the pilot, because you said his plane stalled from going too high, and he still tried to engage it 2 more times. I would be done after.
I'm like,
after
you
that.
won, dog. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it was 6. It wasn't inches. It was feet. Because inches.
It says inches in the story.
I'm sure it says inches in the story, but how can
maybe
you
you're
be so visually accurate if something's that small?
That's my thing. Like, that's not very big. From you're talking about. He saw it. He was at 14,000 feet and saw it below him at 11,000 feet. That's 3,000 feet. That's a good distance to be able to identify.
Pretty bright light.
Yeah. He did give a sworn account, a statement. He said, "I am convinced that there was a definite thought behind its maneuvers. I am further convinced that the object was governed by the laws of inertia because its acceleration was rapid but not immediate, and although it was able to turn fairly tight at considerable speed, it still followed a natural curve. Okay. When I attempted to turn with the object, I blacked out temporarily due to excessive speed. I am in fairly good physical condition, and I do not believe that there are many, if any, pilots who could withstand the turns and speed affected by the object and remain conscious. The object was not only able to outturn and outspeed my aircraft, but it was able to attain a far steeper climb and was able to maintain a constant rate of climb far in excess of my aircraft." So that's the interesting part. He thinks that there's intelligent, something behind it because of the way it was maneuvering and.
Very, and he didn't have to preface that he's a military man. He's a pilot, and he's trained in North Dakota. I know you're, if you pass out, you're right. You're probably in that top 10% of people that are tough. And
I would have passed out and threw up, like taking off. So
yeah, I'd be waiting for my in-service drink. When are they coming around? Do they
serve a meal on this flight? Because
but I take I trust him on what he's seeing. You don't do a dogfight with no training. He's had practice. He's known what to look for. If he says there's intelligent maneuvering, there's intelligent maneuvering. However, with it being that small, are we talking about remote control? You know what I mean? Are we talking?
Well, we're talking about 1949, so any kind of remote control probably wouldn't be as.
It's remote control, and I'm by no means suggesting a drone or anything like that.
Right.
If we were to take the extraterrestrial route with that, and there's intelligent design,
sure,
that almost has to be something outside of the vehicle making that object maneuver that way.
Yeah.
If he's accurate with the size, then I agree with that.
Yeah, if it's 6 to 8 feet,
that might be different.
Obviously, that's big. You can have.
It's just crazy. You can keep his eye on it the whole time.
Which, as we all know, is short.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, governed by the rules of inertia. He was saying, it accelerated, but not to the speed. It had to work its way up to the speed.
Because of a ball of light, and it was 6 to 8 inches, going 400 miles plus per hour.
Does it sound like it was messing with him, or do you think it was just trying to mind its own business and he was chasing it?
That's a good point, because the interaction, whoever was the aggressor in the interaction, that's where I'm going to go with. If he was the aggressor and
he said he went after it.
Yeah.
Then
he went to identify.
And I think it was like, you have nothing on me. Watch what I can do. That's the playing with that I think it is.
I like that.
I like it. I'm good with that explanation.
So, North Dakota, huh? And how big is Fargo in North Dakota? Everywhere you only hear Fargo in North Dakota.
I think that's the only place in North Dakota, and then the rest is fields and
reservations,
whatever kind of animals they have wandering around.
I know. I can't wait till we do our cryptid countdown or a cryptid bracket or something like that. That'd be really cool.
I'm thinking 12 cryptids of Christmas, bro.
Oh yeah,
12 cryptids of Christmas
in Fargo, North Dakota. There's 133,000 people that live there right now. I don't know about
There's
back in
134,000 in Montana in North Dakota. So
Well, let's cross them off the list. That's 75% of the state's population.
all right, well, that's one more.
They're really earning
I had
those
to look it up.
electoral votes.
We're going to be
lot.
an international
Fargo.
show here shortly because we're
Yeah.
not going to be
Yeah.
able to.
Yeah. Hey, we got kicked out of America. Can we?
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's plenty of countries left that we can
saying
insult.
something hateful.
Talk to.
It's very true.
Yeah, for talking on a Wednesday night.
Right.
Yep.
It's wonderful. But North
Not
Dakota
even
coming
the
in
weekend.
strong. I love that story. And that if we were to do badasses of these 50, that pilot would probably be in the top 30 there. Yeah.
I agree, mainly because you're flying a P-51 and it's 1949. It's not like you're in a brand new jet, with all kinds of cool stuff. Like you're old schooling it at that point, man.
Yeah.
Bad,
You're
true
hearing shit
badasses.
grinding that
Yeah,
engine.
you're
hearing grinding.
Yeah, you're a badass at that point.
Absolutely. I love that. Wonderful story. Wonderful story, North Dakota, keeping it interesting.
Keeping it
All
weird.
right.
Keeping it real.
Weird. Yeah, keeping it weird, keeping it interesting. So how about we move someplace even more colder and mountainous than North Dakota?
Let's go to Alaska.
How about, yes, we are going to Alaska.
I like it.
Dun, 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 dun,
There's
dun.
probably a million stories from Alaska. Hell, I can tell you
Oh,
3
yeah.
offhand without.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
Me
right?
too.
So, where are you on my little board? Wonderful. The board. I can't find Alaska.
Pretty big
I know where the
place.
state is. I know where the state is. I
want me to show you a map or?
Yeah. I know. This is just a mess. It's just a mess on here. I have so many things open. Can't find it, but we will.
Is it abbreviation?
You might have to raw dog this one. No
I
intro.
might have to. Oh. The
They
mouse
hit it-
was- my mouse
they
was
hit it on the
covering
map.
it.
They hit it on the
We're off
bottom
to
of the
a
map.
great start. We're off to, and yes, you're right, Ian. This was a take your pick, and I could not keep this to just one. So we're going to start, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this, the extraordinary flight of Japanese airliner 1628. And this is Alaska's best known encounter, which brings us to the Alaskan Triangle stories. Have you guys heard of the Alaskan
Oh.
Triangle?
Oh,
Man, did
love
we ever? We did a whole 2 podcasts on that, I think.
Really? I did
Yeah.
one too back in the day on
Yep.
labeled paranormal, and it's yeah. So I'm just going to show people who are watching. This is the Alaskan Triangle area. As you can see, it does cut down into Canada a little bit, but for the majority of it, it is in Alaska going north.
I think you found Waldo quicker, Pete.
I know. Yeah. It was like finding Waldo. Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's exactly right. Oh man. If they were, I would find it easier. But I decided not to put them in alphabetical order and to abbreviate some and spell some out.
I mean,
So-
you got to make it as hard as possible.
What did we say in the first 7 minutes? Yeah, exactly.
It's really
So let
about
me
the
save
challenge.
my life by reading this creepy story. So on November 17th, which the anniversary is actually coming up, one of the best documented UFO cases happened in the skies above Alaska. 3 UFOs played tag with the Japanese airlines cargo freight 1628 for 50 minutes. So it was almost an hour while they were visually observed sometimes by a terrified flight crew. During the last 30 minutes, the UFOs were tracked on military and civilian radar, and the entire encounter was verified by high-level administrators of the FAA. The incident received media coverage all over the world, and here's what happened. Japanese Airlines Captain Kenju Teruchi was an ex-fighter pilot and senior airline pilot with over 10,000 hours of flight experience. He was assigned to fly a Japanese airline cargo flight from Paris to Reykjavik, and then Anchorage on to Tokyo. On November 17th at 5:09 p.m. Alaskan time, the Anchorage Air Route Traffic Control Center contacted JAL 1628 which at the time was about 104 miles northeast of Fort Yukon. The flight controller asked the pilot to adjust his heading so the plane would pass south of Fort Yukon and Fairbanks. The co-pilot turned the plane to the left about 15 degrees. Captain Terrucci, sitting on the left side of the cockpit, saw unidentified lights outside his side window and to the left and also below. He thought they were military planes and just ignored them. After a few minutes, he realized that these unidentified aircraft were pacing him. Flight 1628 contacted Anchorage, Alaska twice in rapid succession to ask if there was any other aircraft in the area. The Anchorage Center responded that there were no military aircraft and ground radar did not show any other aircraft other than Flight 1628. Then the two lights began to move in an erratic manner. Terrucci recollected in his official report to the FAA listed below. The distance from the lights was far enough from us that we felt no immediate danger. I perhaps thought it was a UFO. The lights were still moving strangely and unexpected. Most unexpectedly, two spaceships appeared directly in front of the plane, shooting off lights. The inside cockpit was shined brightly, and I felt the warmth of the UFO's thrusters on my face. Then, 3 to 7 seconds later, the fire from like jet engines stopped and became a small circle of lights, and they began to fly in level flight at the same speed that we were. The middle of the body of the ship sparked an occasional stream of lights, like a charcoal fire. Its shape was a square, flying 500 to 1,000 feet in front of us, a very slightly higher than us altitude, and it is the same size as the body of roughly a DC-8 or a Boeing 707 back then.
Wow.
It's impossible for any man-made machine to make a sudden appearance in front of a jumbo jet that is flying 910 kilometers per hour and to move along in formation paralleling our aircraft. But we did not feel threatened or in danger. Honestly, we were simply astounded. I have no idea how they came so close to us. There was a pale white flat light in the direction where the ships flew away, pacing us. The Anchorage Center replied that they saw nothing on their radar. I set our digital weather radar distance to 20 miles. Radar angle to horizon, and there it was on the screen, a large green round object that had appeared 7 or 8 miles away in the direction of the object. We arrived at the sky above Eielson Air Force Base in Fairbanks. It was a clear night. We were just above the bright city lights, and we checked on the pale white lights behind us. There was a silhouette of a gigantic spaceship. We must get away quickly. A terrified Captain Terrucci, in coordination with the Anchorage Center, attempted evasive maneuvers such as flying in a circle and changing altitude. The gigantic UFO, later described as the size of 2 aircraft carriers, shadowed Flight 1628 through all maneuvers. Terrucci wondered and feared as to their purpose. Anchorage Center offered to scramble a military jet, but Captain Terrucci declined the offer, fearing unintended consequences of a military confrontation with the UFO. About that time, a United Airlines passenger jet flew in the same air zone and was requested by the ATC to get a visual on the situation. Terrucci reported, when the United plane came by our side, the spaceship disappeared suddenly. The strange encounter ended 150 miles away from Anchorage. In 1986, John Callahan, the FAA division chief of the Accidents and Investigations branch in Washington, D.C., about a week after the 1628 incident, he got an urgent call from Alaska. Callahan's recollections were recorded in their interview circa the year 2000. His comments, too, are edited for brevity and clarity. I forgot who it was that called, he said, but we got a problem here. I don't know what to tell the media. The whole FAA office is full of media from Alaska. Callahan asked, what's the problem? He replies, it's that UFO. I said, what UFO? He said, well, last week we had a UFO chase a 747 across the skies up here for about 30 minutes or so. I told him, get all the data together. I want all the civilian and military discs and that they had, and all the tapes that they had available, and flown overnight to the tech center where I'm sitting right now. The military refused to send their tapes, but he got everything from the Anchorage control or traffic control. We told him that we wanted this room to be set up just like it was in Anchorage, and we wanted all of the data to come across the scope or radar monitor, and we want to see everything that the controller was seeing at that time. We want to hear everything he heard. We want all of this to be tied together, the radar, the digital radar, and the sound. When Callahan played the tapes, he heard a 3-way conversation between Anchorage Air, Traffic Control, Elmendorf NORAD Regional Operations Control Center, and Captain Tarucci of the Japanese Airline 1628. He also played a tape that the ATC radar had on scope. Anchorage Air Traffic Control didn't see the UFO on the radar, but based on their conversations, the military were clearly tracking their UFO, or clearly tracking the UFO. The military controller has what they call a height-finding radar, and they have a long-range radar and a short-range radar. If they didn't catch it on one of their systems, they would catch it on the other. Ours wouldn't record it. Details reported by the military controller indicated that the UFOs were traveling thousands of miles per hour as they maneuvered in the airspace around the 747. The military controller had one other surprise finding. Near the end of the incident, a United Airlines flight was diverted to observe the Japanese airline flight. By then, Captain Tarucci no longer saw the huge UFO, and the United pilot did not see it either. Unbeknownst to both of them, the military radar clearly indicated the UFO had tucked in and out of sight behind the United flight and began following that one. After sitting through the presentation, Callahan's boss turned to him and said, "Don't talk to anybody until I give you the okay." The next day, his boss set up a briefing. According to Callahan, I brought all of the people from the tech center. We went upstairs. We had all kinds of boxes of data, and we handed them printouts. It filled up the room. They brought in 3 people from the FBI, 3 people from the CIA, and 3 people from Reagan's specific scientific study team. And I don't know who the rest of the people were, but they were all excited. Callahan and his staff showed the assemblage of everything they had and answered a lot of the technical questions. When they got done, they actually swore all those other guys into this never took place. We never had this meeting, and this was never recorded. This was one of the guys from the CIA. I asked him at the time, I don't know why you're saying this. I mean, if there's something there and it's not the stealth bomber, which was in development around in the late 80s, then you know it's a UFO. And if it's a UFO, why don't you want anybody to know? He said if they come out and told the American public they ran into a UFO out there, it would cause panic across the country. You know how it is. So therefore, we can't talk about it. And taking all of this data, and we're taking all of this data, when they asked me what I thought, I looked at them, and it looked like we had a UFO up there. As far as I was concerned, Reagan's science team were the ones that verified my own thoughts about it. They were very, very excited about this data. They had said at the time that this was the only time, and they used the words, a UFO was ever recorded on radar for a lengthy period of time. Epilogue to this, kind of sad. Within months of the incident, Captain Tarucci was banished to a desk job because he had embarrassed the company. He was fully reinstated a few years later, however, and John Callahan retired from the FAA and became an industry consultant and periodically recounts his story for media about Japanese Flight 1628. So that was 1628 right there in the skies above the Alaskan Triangle.
I mean, the sheer size and the fact that they had it on radar for so long, like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, and then to be shunned to a desk job?
Well, you know, you can't talk about stuff like that. Even then.
There, especially, I mean, still now, but think about back 40 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, hell, even 20 years ago, it'd probably be a big problem. But back in the 80s, it'd be a problem.
That
would suck.
I mean, it's not their flight. It's not their country.
Yeah.
You know, say we were doing something we're over, you know, France, Italy, you know what I mean? And we're trying to communicate with their, you know,
right.
You're opening yourself up to, I guess, ridicule or something. But I'm sure they did ridicule him, and I'm sure they went in still happy as a pig and shit to find all this data and take it all out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous. But that, we can at least agree that if it's shadowing, it's flying, it's coming up and going away, coming up and going away, it's at least aggressive towards a benign aircraft.
And
remember,
intelligent.
These are cargo liners, right?
Yeah.
Some have taken that and ran with it on the cause of many of these Alaskan Triangle disappearances. One in particular, you guys know about the United States congressmen from the 1950s that were flying back from Alaska to the mainland and they disappeared without a trace.
Yeah. We talked about that even. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys talk about that. You knew that story. There's how in a remote. Now I get it's remote and I get it's rugged, but when a congressman goes missing, I'm sorry, it's not the same as a hiker. They had 40
that's
military, and 30 civilian aircraft over the area, the mathematical area. Okay, we were in communication with them here.
Yeah.
They should have passed here. They didn't. Okay, so we have the area. You know, some say it is the disappearance. Some say it is the vortex. Some say the mountains, because Alaska, Washington, and this isn't me. Go get an EMF reader and go outside with natural EMF, and it's just way higher than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
Go check that out. Some are insinuating that the EMF spikes are portals, and they went into parallel alternate dimensions, or UFOs had kidnapped them in plain sight, really. Well, not plain sight, but nobody really lives up there. But those are the stories behind the Alaskan Triangle, and I had to get that one out as one of the craziest ones. You know what I mean? That's a top 10 in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Top 5. And I'm including Roswell and Kecksburg and that.
You think about how many people disappear every year in Alaska. The number is astounding. I mean, it is,
and it's
many
only
times
growing.
higher. It's many times higher than anywhere else, probably maybe in the world. I don't know, but certainly in the United States.
They said it was 6 times higher than the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah. It was like 6 times.
Well, I mean, and I'm sure there's some natural reasons for it. I mean, it's a lot of Alaska is very isolated, very rugged, like you said, rugged. There's not a lot of access to it, and people that go there, maybe they're not as experienced as they should be. You know what I mean? So I'm sure a lot of it's just natural people being dumb and all that. But there's so many disappearances, and then you hear stories about UFOs and Bigfoot stories and stuff like that with portals and interdimensional stuff. I mean, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're asking some questions at least, and I am, and I do.
There you go. That's what we do here at the Oracle Talk Radio Network. We just ask questions.
Some of them make sense sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you said is true. I get it's going to be higher because it's just so much rougher. It's so much rougher than anything we have down here. You're going to get the people that want to go up and hunt and hike because they hunt and hike at their local state park.
Yeah.
It's a different beast. It is.
They don't realize there's things hunting them as well. They probably do, but they don't think about it as as much as if they're in their own little town that has like you said, a state park. I mean, you're in the wilderness and there's things looking at you and you don't even know it.
For sure. The trees have eyes. But it's so true. I mean, they're used to their own, and you can read books about environments and things like that. Yeah. You can't read books about temperaments of wolves when, it's a little more hot than they're used to. So they're panicking and they're going to attack anything for food.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And those Alaskan wolves are not like the wolves you have here.
Oh no,
there's just so many. To your point, there's so many different variables that especially from someone from not being there, you're not really going to understand. As well as somebody that might live there, or I watch Living Off the Grid and all those shows where people like living in Alaska and out in the middle of nowhere.
Good.
And I mean it's the real deal, man. Like they are alone. There is nothing out there for miles. Some places, hundreds of miles in some places.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's in the air. You don't know what's in the sky there.
No, you really don't. And there's a lot of lore up there, and there's some places that are barren for a reason. And you want a trophy or you want a story that's not going to jive with anything that lives up there. They're not a tourist attraction is what I'm saying.
And if you love the interdimensional aspect of UFOs and Bigfoot and stuff like that, I mean, that fits in very nicely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It does. It's Alaska,
Absolutely. And I do dabble in that theory.
Yes.
Love it.
I like that.
We all do.
Yes. So Alaska, gentlemen, good one.
I like it. Good one.
All righty.
All right.
Next
Tyler.
place we're going is Nevada.
We're going to Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right outside. Right outside. Oh,
What do you got to say about that one, Pete? I found it quick.
There you go.
Weird how you found that one.
It just shows you selected Mississippi.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, this
Son
is
of a
easy.
bitch.
Maine.
I know. Nailed it.
Yep, exactly.
There he is.
This is for a. This is a. Oh, he's laughing. So a personal experience this guy had. So I saw this one and I just want to talk about it because there's so many in Nevada, but this is one of the far-fetched ones, but fun to read. This guy says, I worked at a nuclear weapons storage depot in Nevada desert outside Nellis Air Force Base for 6 years. It's now shut down. When people say UFOs are attracted to nukes, they're telling you the truth. Both so much more goes on. Says, my first night there, I witnessed a ball of light triggering a sensor on the fence line, prompting a security response. The ball got chased by 3 patrols as it flew directly above the fence line, finally taking a sharp turn into the desert. It says, we discovered 3 mutilated donkeys across a span of 2 weeks, which is really weird. I don't know. I didn't know if donkeys, I mean, everyone has donkeys in the country, but it's a lot of them, 3 of them. Over 2 weeks. It says all about a mile from each other and seemingly dropped off out of nowhere. No tracks, in or out. Various organs removed from each other, from each. No blood anywhere. No tears, tears in flesh. All cuts. Scavengers didn't even want to touch the bodies, as in birds and whatnot. It's pretty. They probably know. I witnessed a figure atop of a roof structure just 30 meters from me. And 14 other personnel. It was standing there watching us. I took a spotlight and shined it up there, and as soon as it hit the light, the figure disappeared. We all saw it happen, not just me. I heard a man laughing manically once. Nothing there. He said, "Sweep with." He sweeped with night vision and thermals revealed nothing. 3 other witnesses. We wrote it all off, saying it's the laughing colonel. As an urban legend. I guess there's an urban legend about it. Passed on by the security personnel for ages. While on patrol in adjoining conventional weapons storage area, me and a partner parked next to the hot pad loaded with 500-pound bombs about to be shipped overseas. Heard a soft cooing sound coming from the pad. Me and my partner did a security sweep of the pad, and the cooing kept happening and seemingly luring us past the pad into a pitch black desert night. Pitch black desert, sorry. Night vision and thermal goggles again revealed nothing. We did not pursue, just another sweep of the pad and moved along. While on a training exercise, our machine gun overwatch team spotted 2 figures on thermal in the desert behind us. Exercise was immediately canceled when Security 1 locked and loaded, set up a sweep. The Overwatch team observed the figures going prone and backing away from our sweep element, then disappear when we got close. Our thermals confirmed trace seat on ground despite us doing the sweep, never seen anything. So it says, weirdest event was when I was exterior patrol outside the fence line, got a call to respond to the truck approaching Onside Mountain nearby. Not unusual. Most didn't think we were out there, and we got off Raiders all the time. Oh, okay, Raiders all the time. We'd scare the shit out of. Visually confirmed truck of NVGs. Then suddenly the headlights disappear. We believe they turned them off and are now approaching on foot. So call for K9. All move to blocking position where I know anyone will have to cross past us to approach perimeter. Kind of doesn't make sense on some of this. We are there for about 10 minutes when when one by one patrol members overwatching us from high points on the side call in lights appearing at our 12, 3, and our 9, in effect flanking us with fence line about 300 meters behind us. When we see and hear nothing, not even the NVGs or thermals, dogs never reacted. Suddenly panic patrol calls and the lights are rushing us. That's weird. It's crazy too. We are already locked and loaded. I tell my partner to put a grenade In the tube, nothing happens. Dog never indicates. Our radios die, and then 10 minutes we hike back to the fence line, only to discover we were out on contract for twice as long, and I thought we were. Very paraphrase event, because on phone, but our radios only started working when we were back at the fence line. It says there's more, but these were just the highlights of my events, and I am allowed to speak out about these things. The world is not normal as you believe it is. That's crazy.
That is. And first thing I got to say is you got the haunted specter of the laughing and a haunted voice or specter of cooing. To me, I got to say the cooing is probably way more scary than the laughter.
Yeah. And I mean, they're just drawing you out in a way.
And that's a lot of the lore out there.
I didn't know they had donkeys in Nevada.
That's what I thought at first too. I'm like, well, I guess they're everywhere because I owned a donkey growing up as well. So
the one thing interesting about that is that they're all, whenever you have mutilations, it's always the same story about nothing will touch it, nothing will eat it, nothing will scavenge it. They talked about that on Skinwalker Ranch when they did some tests about radiation. They thought maybe it was a radiation deal and like other animals can sense it. I don't know if they ever found anything conclusive, but you hear that on any mutilations, you see that things just don't mess with it after it's been killed.
Yeah. And the latest episode drop for Unsolved Mysteries went into cattle mutilations and things like that. And,
I watched that. Yep.
Yeah, and that had the same thing. And, some had more recent theories of governments testing toxins or poisons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes or many animals won't eat a poisoned animal. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the military doing it. If there's a foreign substance used, they can, other animals can detect it. I mean, that's what they're experts in, is eating to stay alive, right? Predators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they need to know their food better than we do. We just take it for granted from the FDA or whatever's at the meat locker. You know what I mean?
Some get poisoned from the store with an accident with, or it could be something in the eggs were wrong, or we just don't know. We just eat it.
I just eat whatever comes on my pizza. I don't know.
Exactly. But there's listeria or there's an outbreak of somewhere, but they just know not to touch it. It's really weird.
Yeah. They have a sense. Yeah.
It's a sense. Yeah.
So on that, getting back to that Unsolved Mysteries, I have a disturbing image on there. They had a disturbing image, and I have that disturbing image stuck in my head. The cow that died, that's head was off the ground.
Yes, that was like sitting. It was almost sitting up, kind of. Yeah, but
it was visually like jarring a little bit to me.
Yeah, and it made no sense. Like I don't know how you die that way as a cow, but it died in like a casual, relaxed, sitting down type of manner.
Yeah,
but his head was still like up
off the ground, at least 6-8 inches, maybe even a foot. Yeah, it was off the ground. And I'm just thinking, is there any way you can stage that? Maybe with like a bale of hay and you put it on until it rigor mortis, or would not even that hold it up?
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever said that it was a hit rigor or whatever, like if it was stiff like that. But yeah, I guess you'd have to do something like that.
You'd have to position it that way to even get that.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was really weird the way it was sitting, and I don't know that
they have some consistent injuries of falling as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one that was almost as big actually as crop circles.
Mm-hmm.
You died off with the crop circles. The mutilations have died off too. I almost kind of forgot about how serious they were.
I don't know. I think they're still pretty prevalent in the.
You do?
Skinwalker Ranch, I would say.
Skinwalker Ranch, especially, but even like Blind Frog Ranch, which is like right next to Skinwalker.
Yep. Yeah.
In that whole area, it's pretty prevalent with cattle mutilation and animal.
Oh yeah.
Mutilation.
Not even just mutilation, but just dying like out of nowhere. I mean, a lot of cattle.
Yeah, they have some deer that were like died in like weird ways and stuff, but I don't know why cows just seem to be, and it's weird the way they do it, because like they take like the eyeball or they'll
I
take,
know.
just weird certain parts of the cow that they will take. There's no rhyme or reason to it, really.
Mhm.
It's almost like they're looking for a very specific reason. They're doing it for a very specific reason. Like, I need that eyeball, I need that liver. You know what I mean? Like, it's the way they do it. It's not just a random animal that attacked it and is like, I'm just going to eat everything.
Yeah.
Well, if
killer
It's almost
whales,
surgical. It's
killer
almost
whales
surgical.
are like that. Killer whales will only go for like the
Yeah.
livers of
The
sharks.
liver, yeah.
yeah, they'll
And
do
they
that.
will just bite that, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
So, if you were to believe the interdimensional theory, where they're just a little bit different from us, and everything in that dimension is just a little bit different than us, they could be having an issue with their bovine-like species, and
Mhm.
they're testing on ours because we are so close. They can manipulate that rift, we can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going down river, we can't go up river, type of thing.
Yeah,
If you were to believe that, then it would start making a lot of sense why they're using, I only need this from them. You know what I mean? I only
Yeah.
need that from them.
Cloning thing.
Because if you think about it, what use do we have for cow eyes or cow livers or the sex organs? We really just raise them for the meat.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
For the majority, yeah.
for the majority, yeah, for overwhelming, majority of that. But into your story, another part that piqued my interest was, you had a big EMF anomaly go on there with their walkies, and the comms didn't work until they were far enough away.
Yep.
That is, something that's identified as paranormal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that portion of it as well, that the further we get from this thing, the more the better our comms work, which means there's interference. And what gives off that interference? It's radiation, or it's EMF. So that part, piqued my interest too.
If that happened, I'd shit scared. Imagine that happening to you in that moment. Oof.
I know. And it was definitely,
recall
maybe it
all
was a
those
deterrent.
moments.
You know what I mean? It could have been used as a deterrent, that if they can't affect us physically, like a gun or a shooting or something, they'll make psychological or make our senses go haywire to scare us away. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the water with a shark, they have that zapper.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's a way. Does it really hurt them, or does it just stimulate their senses that makes them get hey, let me get out of here really quick.
They made those wristbands.
Yep.
They made wristbands now. You can wear that have magnets in it that sends out a pulse to their sensories on their nose to keep them away.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like repulsive, but it's just for humans now. For us.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me address Fletcher. Fletcher, good to see you, man. I hear you being lost. Yeah. So we did From Deep Dive on Chasing Prophecy last week. This is Beyond the Radar. We're doing a special podcast on here of 50 states, 50 UFO stories to get you caught up. But by all means, Ian and Tyler here are Frommies as well. They're part of the Familia, and they what was it, guys? Like 2-3 days, you guys caught up on everything.
Oh yeah,
I did the whole thing in 2 days.
We talked about it one day, and I'm like, we all binged it.
We love that show. So Fletch, we got to get them to on one of the Monday night round tables to talk
for sure.
from too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Pete?
It's a big night for Tom.
I also did too. I also found out where Alaska was. Yeah. Yeah. So excellent. Nevada, many things out in the west, in the desert.
I've always wanted to go out there, and I never have.
Oh, Vegas is great.
Even if we're going to Vegas, we can make a trip. But
I love Vegas.
Yeah.
We have to do it. There's some places.
There's no UFOs at this table. Let me move.
Yeah. There is a place, we were talking about it though, where they have that tunnel in like the mountain that you can go in, and it's like haunted as shit.
It's like it's around I think it's around Lake Havasu. There's like caverns and stuff, and they're like they do all kinds of ghost investigations there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
I love it.
Fun to check out.
Out in the desert too. Many people do that. E5, close encounter CE5, and
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to communicate and bring them down.
Yep.
Because some
I've heard
believe
that.
there's quartz that amplify our energy
Yeah.
under the desert.
They're all
That
doing
would- that
peyote
would
at the
be
time,
fine.
but it's cool.
That's exactly what's happening.
Well, we'll
You
test
have
both
to.
ways.
I'm saying.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Tyler's on a bus to Mexico. I don't know how.
I'm just saying it's gonna happen one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
He said
right.
I need to take a bus and then left.
Yeah, a bus. We never
Just
saw him again. I don't know.
again.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Where are we
He ran
going?
off-
Ian? Let's see
He
if I
ran
can
off
get
with some
this.
stripper. All right, we are going to Big Sky Country, Montana.
There you go.
Montana. Absolutely.
Montana.
I
like
love the
Montana.
term big sky country too.
Don't you though?
Yeah.
It's nice.
We are going to Great Falls, Montana, 1950. The Mariana UFO incident occurred in August 1950 in Great Falls, Montana. The sighting, filmed by local baseball coach Nick Mariana, is believed to be among the first ever motion picture footage of what came to be called an unidentified flying object. The U.S. Air Force, after a short investigation, concluded that what Mariana had actually filmed were a reflection of two F-94 jet fighters, a claim that the Air Force would later retract. So the incident happened at 11:29 a.m. on August 15th, 1950. Nick Mariana, the general manager of Great Falls Electric Miners League baseball team, and his 19-year-old secretary, Virginia, were inspecting the empty Legion Stadium baseball field before a game. A bright flash caught Mariana's eye, and according to his report, he saw two bright silvery objects rotating while flying over Great Falls at a speed he estimated to be 200 to 400 miles per hour. He believed that they were roughly 50 feet wide and 150 feet apart. Mariana ran to his car to retrieve his 16-millimeter movie camera and filmed the UFOs for 16 seconds. The camera could film the object in color but could not record sound. Virginia also witnessed the objects. The day after Mariana's sighting, the Great Falls Tribune, the city's daily newspaper, described the sighting and the film in an article which was picked up by other media outlets around the nation. For several weeks after the sighting, Mariana showed his film to local community groups, including the Central Roundtable Athletic Club.
Wow.
Air Force investigation. After seeing the film, a reporter for the Great Falls Tribune called Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio and informed them of Mariana's sighting in the film. The U.S. Air Force Captain John P. Brian Stilson. Boy, I'm not even going to get close on that one. We're going to call him Captain John for
Jones.
because I'm basically retarded. Interviewed Mariana at a nearby Malmstrom Air Force Base outside of Great Falls when Mariana and Virginia both told him that they had seen two jet fighters pass over the baseball stadium shortly after the sighting. Captain John felt that perhaps the jets were the objects Mariana had seen and captured on film. With Mariana's permission, Captain John sent the film to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for analysis. He told a reporter in Great Falls that he had picked up about 8 feet of film from Mariana, end quote. However, in his message to Wright-Patterson, he said that he was sending approximately 15 feet of moving picture film to the base for study. According to the UFO historian Jerome Clark, this discrepancy was never cleared up. At Wright-Patterson, the film was briefly examined and determined to be the reflections from the two F-94 fighter jets that were known to be flying over Great Falls at the time of Mariana's sightings. Lieutenant Colonel Ray W. Taylor returned the film to Mariana with a cover letter saying that our photo analysis were unable to find anything identifiable as unusual of an unusual nature. However, according to the Air Force, Officer Edward John Ruppert, who would become the supervisor of the Air Force's Project Blue Book investigation into the UFO mystery in 1951. In 1950, there was no interest by the Air Force in the UFO, so after a quick viewing, Project Grudge had written them off as the reflections from the two F-94 jet fighters that were in the area. Controversy soon arose when Mariana claimed that the first 35 frames of his film, which he said most clearly showed the UFOs as rotating discs, were missing. People in the Great Falls area who had viewed Mariana's film supported his claims. They claimed that the missing frames clearly showed the UFOs as spinning metallic discs with a notch or band along their outer edges. The Air Force personnel denied this accusation and insisted that they had removed only a single frame of film, which was damaged in the analysis. I think they did some shady stuff.
Dude, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole time.
That's what I'm
He
thinking.
handed over the film? You're going to destroy it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
trust them? I guess back
So
then,
a surprise, right, Pat? Isn't going to verify, right? Anything turned over to right, Pat, you might as well forget about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it sounds. Like they just said, yeah, we didn't see it.
Yeah. Go figure.
Or they cut out every part that had it and then says, you had nothing. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Real quick, I'll get to Fletch. Fletch, I heard about that UFO story in Portugal. It showed up at a school. Kids made drawings of it. There's other stories about Africa as well. Those stories of UFOs appearing to people in schools.
We did a whole show on that one actually. Also,
Yeah, we did.
With the kids saw it,
and now they did interviews as adults. Did you guys see that?
I didn't know.
There's 7 or 8 of them from South Africa.
They came back and interviewed them as adults.
Came back and did an interview about it, and they all had the exact same story.
Mm-hmm.
This is within the last year or two.
Impactful on them too to keep the same story that entire time.
Yeah, and it was all the same thing that they talked about before.
I think this is after we did our podcast on that a couple of years ago. And then they just came out with it as adults, and there was there was more than 10 or 15 of them, I think, that all went on. So pretty cool.
So that's even more interesting. You didn't get 1 or 2.
And this is our look at it as they're going and trying to make contact with kids because of they're harmless, as in they're not going to just pull out a shotgun right away.
That's exactly what they said. They were doing it because they felt safe and they felt like they could talk to them without being
speak to them telepathically.
Yeah. They're not corrupted by our systems.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Right.
Give it time, and they will be.
they will be. Yeah.
But
it will be. But Ian, you're right, Pat, getting their hands on everything and just what?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when he handed it over, you knew it was coming back. And this guy and the Edward Ruppert was later became the supervisor of the Project Blue Book. Like he was all over that film.
Of course.
Yeah. Now 15 feet, I would imagine it's not that long.
15 feet.
You know what I mean? Yeah, a film. It wouldn't have what they caught. Was that even enough on film to make an accurate one? If you think about it, how it was spinning around the reel.
Yeah.
15 seconds, 30 seconds.
He said it was 8 seconds, right?
He said he cut 16 seconds. He said he cut
16.
Okay. So
you're also not coming with clarity, crystal clear. You know what I mean? You also have a lot of that stuff. He said
it did film it in color, which was interesting.
Just no sound.
1950, yeah.
Yeah.
So they said they caught the reflection
but the size that he described would not be anywhere near 2 jets.
50 feet wide, and they're 150 feet apart.
And you imagine, we're talking. I feel like we talk about it every week, but the distance between him and the objects that he saw would be so great that even if he probably underestimated, if anything, you would think.
Yeah, and a lot of these, I think we mentioned that before, either last episode or the episode before. is that if anything, people are lessening. You know what I mean? They're lessening what
Yeah.
their what the real amount should be.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the further something away, the further something gets away from you, the smaller it obviously becomes. So it's at some point you get an inaccurate, size reference.
And then like last week too, only a handful of people know to put your hand out and use your thumb.
by your thumb.
That's not taught really. Nobody really knows
Yeah,
any of that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
But
Interesting.
very interesting. Big Sky Country coming in strong.
I like it.
And
That's
we
a
haven't
good
said
one.
anything to make them mad yet, so they're still on our.
If you give me a minute, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I was just gonna say that's probably the only place in Montana that got anything going on. So if you're looking for Bozeman, you're right. No, I got a friend that moved to Bozeman. He finally moved back. He's like, fuck that. But he told me that he wanted me to come elk hunting with him in January. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
I would have had to go.
He goes, it's only like -15. I'm like, you're high, dude. There's not a chance. Like, I don't do anything under 70 degrees, bro. Like, I wouldn't leave the house under 70 if I didn't have to. I live in South Florida for a reason.
You gotta look. How are you gonna get there? You gotta fly into Denver and then take an Iditarod all the way up.
Fucking dog sled in. No, dude, I'm not doing it. Like,
Ian,
I can't imagine that kind of cold.
You gotta be a dog sled champ.
Yeah, I can't imagine that kind of cold.
I don't miss that kind of cold, dude. I don't
even know. At some point, you gotta it's just gotta all feel the same at some temperature, right? Like, I guess I don't know.
When the wind is up and it's burning your face, you're like,
I mean, when it's when it's -19, I mean, I don't know how much difference it is between that and -2,000 degrees, but I ain't gonna find out because I ain't going. Ain't happening.
Grab a Dyatlov pass thing. When you start to feel warm, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm the great white hunter anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't.
You go with a case of grenades.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. Yeah, that's the way I would do it. You want to hunt? I'll hunt. Let's do it.
This one's missing a pin.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
No, that's not. No. And the elk. I mean, I'm not dragging some. How big are elks? Elks are monstrous.
That got to be 400 or 500 if you get a good one, right?
Yeah, I mean, elks. I think elks are. They stand like some of them stand like 10 feet tall. I think with their horns, with their antlers or whatever.
They're like almost 2-3 times the size of a buck.
I'm not built for that shit.
It depends on the size. Yeah, it depends on how old it is and all that. But
if he can let me sit in the living room window with a living room
about moose
with the window open, I'll hunt from the living room.
Yeah,
they gotta come in his yard.
Imagine going against a moose, man. Those things when they're angry, they'll come right after.
Yeah, you see the videos of those things just going on a rampage.
And like you'll see a moose at someone's house and their head reaches the roof.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, man. That thing gets a hold of you. Yeah. Done.
You can see video of cars hitting like moose and stuff and elk. Yeah. There's nothing left of them, dude. Like, and the elk's like brushing his leg off. Like, what was that? And the Toyota Corollas in a ball.
I've seen people just running back to their house, going to get the mail, running because there's a moose chasing them. Like, fuck this, and it comes right to their door. They're like,
when I was bring more, make it a little morbid. Something like that happened, not anywhere near. This is, rural Pennsylvania, but during the rut when I was in high school, somebody, some woman in the town, was getting her mail at night and killed her. Aggressive. You know what I mean? Like they're all.
We got aggressive cats.
Yeah,
Pete. At -30, I'd be at -30. Pete, I'd be dead, buddy. I wouldn't even try.
And I think to your point, Ian, like from -10 to -30, how much really colder does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go numb at some point, right?
Yeah.
Just your face, really, because your bundles up. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like when I lived in Chicago, like from the Lake Michigan breeze, that cold front coming through. Oh my god, it was brutal. But
I ride my jet
tunnel down from Canada.
Yeah, dude,
I ride my jet ski in December, dude. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not snowboarding or.
But
yeah,
that's what I lived for growing up. There.
Snowboarding,
snowmobiling, trails.
No way, ain't doing it.
I don't know if I would like it, but I would probably do it for the experience.
I mean, it's got to get cold where you're at, right, Tom?
Hey,
Like,
Nothing like even Denver, nothing like even
Chicago.
Chicago's like an anomaly, man. You guys are like,
it's
and
bad.
you get Inuit weather in the Midwest. Like it's
Yeah.
weird how Chicago is, and I guess it's just the topography, right, of everything. But
Yeah.
I got
you
a
know,
quick. I
You
got a
guys
quick
get a
funny
lot of
story.
snow, though, right? You guys get a lot of snow, right?
we get a lot of snow, but it's quick snow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It doesn't stay. So if we get snow and we have, our cold is 0 to 10, and that's
Oh,
with a
okay.
wind chill. So it's
Okay.
not ridiculous.
Negative 22 tomorrow.
There you go. And then with snow, yeah, it'll come down when it's snowing, but rarely does it last more than 3 or 4 days
I did
before you're
not
back
know
to
that.
grass. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't stay cold a lot,
Yeah.
being that close to the city. Plus, the Delaware Valley, you know what I mean? How
Yeah.
Gotcha.
there's mountain ranges of Appalachia right to our west,
Okay.
where a lot of times storms will go around, and we do catch, not as bad as a desert, you know what I mean, at all, but it's around, you know what I mean? It doesn't have that time to make a really powerful storm,
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
last year, I think I remember 2 snowfalls. That was it.
Well,
No shit.
Yeah. It's
That's
just weird. It's weird
that's
topography.
that's too many for me.
Yeah, there you go. What do you got, Ian?
What?
The
You
funny
said, I thought you
story.
said you had a story.
Oh! So the Chicago story. My brother was in he's in the Navy, so he had to go to the Navy, training thing or whatever, which is in Great Lakes or whatever. Great Lakes, Great Falls. I don't know.
Is it Gurney Mill? Gurney?
No. It's just outside Chicago. I think it's Great Lakes Naval Academy or whatever it is. Anyway, it's beside the point. And he graduates in January. So my family and everybody, my mom, my sister, my brother, we all go up there to see him graduate. And it was cold, but it wasn't snowing or anything. And we stayed at the Navy Lodge. And the Navy Lodge is attached to a restaurant, but it's attached by like a glass tunnel that you just walk through so you don't have to go outside in the weather.
Okay.
So there's no snow or anything. It's just cold. We wake up the next morning and we go down to breakfast, and it had snowed overnight so much that you couldn't see out of the glass tunnel to about eye level. I'm like, what the hell happened? We've been asleep for 9 minutes. Like, what could have happened in 9 minutes? Man, you go out there and it is just retarded cold. The snow is out of control, and it all happened like overnight. I didn't know anything had even happened because we didn't even go outside. All we did was, it's all inside. And man, it was Chicago in the snow is something that it's not cool. Like, I don't want to, it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, look at Pete being from Chicago. I know where that is.
Yeah.
Negative feels like sandpaper.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Being by the lake there, walking around downtown by like the
Michigan.
Because we went down to the aquarium, which is right on the Bean, like all that area. And man, that wind that comes off of that lake, boy, whoo!
I bet.
Oh yeah,
it's something that it's not for me.
What part of Chicago, Pete? Because Tyler originally from Chicago.
I wonder if he's like a northwest suburbs of Chicago, or is he actually in deep Chicago?
Deep Chicago,
Cicero, South Side. There's a lot to it, but is it your turn?
Yeah. Let's we're going to take a little trip. We're going to go south, closer to where you all are.
I feel the warmth already.
I don't think you do.
Louisiana. That's fun.
Louisiana. We're going to go to the sightings mini wave on the bayou. So in 1977, it would seem, this one's not as long as the other one. Early in 1977, it would seem UFO sightings went into overdrive for a short period of time when activity was reported all around the Bayou State. On the 15th of January, for example, driving along Judge Perez Highway, creative, Peter Dejani and his wife witnessed a strange bright light in the sky. The lights hovered silently near a water tower and had the appearance of 3 lights chained together. The object remained in this position for around 15 minutes before vanishing. Just a short week later, November 21st, Erwin Meneses and Robert Millerine would encounter a bizarre or have a share of bizarre counter while being on their boat along the bayou near the I'm going to get this one wrong. Wysklasky Shell Refinery. As the two Nutria hunters moved along the water, a huge light suddenly descended about 70 feet above them. As it did, the boat came into a complete stop. Even more bizarre, the two men could, even although the two men could speak to each other, they were unable to move. They would later describe this feeling as what suspended animation was like. Suddenly, the light vanished, and with it, whatever power it had over the men and their boat, and they were finally able to move. The vehicle suddenly shot forward, free of the craft's strange grip, causing both men to lose their balance and fall onto the small deck. They witnessed the strange object inspect a nearby refinery before heading to the Wyclosky water tower. In total, the light remained visible for over a half an hour. What is perhaps interesting to these two sightings is the focusing on the lights. It was focusing its lights on the water towers. The day after the two men on the bayou came two more sightings on the evening of January 22nd. Mark Bordeaux stood with his brother Damien on the porch of his house when the pair noticed reddish orange lights making bizarre and spectacular moves in the skies above western New Orleans. Due to Damien having experience working at the city's airport, he was fairly certain it wasn't a conventional aircraft that they were viewing. He would state after the incident that the object was much bigger and brighter and did things airplanes just cannot do. Around that time in Chalmette, just outside the city, 3 adults and 3 children traveling the Jean Lafitte Parkway would witness a dome-shaped craft descend so low it almost landed. As the passengers looked out of the car's left side windows, they could clearly make out red and yellow lights moving around the sky in a way unlike any aircraft any of them have ever seen before. Then, after around 10 minutes, it suddenly dived towards the ground. It disappeared into the trees of the forest near the side of the road. They would speed off immediately. Furthermore, they wouldn't speak of the sighting to anyone until it became clear that many others in the state had seen similar things. 3 nights later, January 25th, came another strange sighting near the 110 Expressway. The witness, Claire Wetta, would describe the mysterious craft as a cigar-shaped, but longer and narrower than the Goodyear blimp. She would also recall how the 2 shades of gray emanated from this craft. It was only visible for 15 seconds before vanishing without warning. And February 8th, a couple weeks after that, Gail Rodriguez, along with her son Brian, witnessed a strange craft that were driving along the St. Bernard Highway. The craft would fly in the same direction of the road that Rodriguez was heading. It was a distinct saucer shape with a flat bottom, dome top, and lights coming from it, and glowed a fantastic silver color. Around the edge of the craft were rows of lights that appeared to move, as well as changing color from blue to green, then to bright white. The craft was in sight for several seconds before vanishing from the area. And the day after, hopping right along the river into the Mississippi, Deputy Sheriff Ken Creel and Deputy James Luke would respond to a UFO sighting near the small town of Flora. And as they were making their way to the location, an unknown craft appeared out of nowhere, hovered over their patrol car, no more than 50 feet above them. The bright light emerged from the craft, hitting their vehicle, causing their radio systems to malfunction. Furthermore, several other witnesses would back up the 2 officer sightings. The craft, or one of these corroborating witnesses, was a Florida police officer, Hubert Roberts, who was sat in his parked car just off the main highway. When the aerial anomaly appeared in the sky, he would flash his headlights and attempt to communicate with the strange object. Roberts was taken aback by the object flashing its lights back to him. Shortly after, it vanished at breakneck speed.
Wow. That's a lot of reports.
A lot of reports in a short period of time. All in all, 32 days for those
and a couple different objects too, from dome shape to cigar shape to saucer.
Different ones. Yeah, it certainly didn't seem like the same one. It had different lights. It had different shapes. You had the Goodyear blimp looking one. You had the dome. You had the typical saucer shaped one.
Yeah.
To get back to Pete, the planes.
Oh, I know where displanes. I know where that is. Displanes.
Okay. Perfect. But yeah, so you have multiple people. It's around the waterways and around the highways. I'd venture to make a theory that a dark road at night, if you are unfamiliar with Earth, is going to look like a waterway too.
Mhm.
So
I
maybe
can see
that's
that.
where
Yeah.
they were thinking. Maybe that's where they were thinking. Back then in the late 70s, you probably didn't have the reflective material on the medians. You know what I mean? When
Yeah,
they
yeah.
show
Yeah.
lights. So
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to see a large patch of a long straightaway of dark, the same
Mhm.
it would be as a river.
Well, didn't they say one almost came down low enough to land?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when you say 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet, I mean, you can make every single detail out of that
Yeah, for
craft.
sure.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
going to be illuminated enough you can see everything. So, you had the families, you had the police officers, you had fishermen, you had outdoor people, you had people that know what they were seeing. So it's just it
Too
really
many of
gets
them.
me when there's this flurry of activity in a certain area. Some can say
Mhm.
it's the hysteria.
Yeah.
Some can say, "Oh, well, now we're looking for it."
Yeah.
Um, it still doesn't change the fact that multiple
they're-
people saw things that they don't know.
It always
And
surprises
they were
me.
encountering it. They said the light shined on the police officer's car 50
Yeah.
feet above them. So not
Yeah.
just looking for it, it came to them.
It always surprises me that stories like that don't get more coverage, because when you have all those people that see it, and even the one I did at Red Rock, when there's hundreds of people at
At a concert.
a concert,
Yeah.
and like, how does that not hold enough validity to have somebody ask some questions that that aren't us? You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
news media or somebody. Like, I'm going to ask questions about anything, but
Yeah.
how many people do you need to have to see something before it's taken seriously enough to report on it in a serious way?
It's a very good point. I'll venture a guess to try to answer that. Um, Back then, I would assume that media biases play a lot into that.
Mhm.
No, they're just
Yeah,
hicks from Louisiana. I'm not going down. You know what I mean? You
yeah.
have
I mean,
that.
yeah.
He's just a farmer. He's a hick from Montana. You know what I mean? I would have to say some of that plays a part into it. Not to mention,
I've been in Louisiana. I can. Some of that might
Let's
be.
not
we
bring
just
our
lost-
ratings
and they're
down.
right.
we-
And they're
We
right.
just lost
Cross
Louisiana
them
too,
off.
but listen,
Hold on, let me cross them off. Give me a second, guys. Cross
it's
them
50
off.
states, 50 UFOs, and see how many
50
states we
states,
can wipe
50
I
out.
believe Ian's quote unquote just smells like pee.
That's
Yeah.
New
From the
Orleans
last
in
set.
that's in the French Quarter.
All right.
Strictly in the French Quarter, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't
I
venture
love
far
on
out.
that
but-
block.
The French Quarter. French Quarter's haunted AF, by the way.
Dude, we went to. We're getting sidetracked a lot here, but we went to me and my daughter were there. Went on a ghost hunt with a guy that had the little stick figure. I forget. I don't know exactly what they call it.
Voodoo.
Yeah, so they have he had like the imaging where like it shows the stick figure like standing beside you, or you can see
Oh, it's-
whatever.
On the yeah.
I don't know if I showed you these pictures, but I got pictures of like me sitting in a chair in like a little closet, and there's
He's
a
on-
big stick figure guy standing beside me, like hitting me in the head because he hates men. Like he's an old guy that's been there forever,
Yeah.
obviously. He hates men, and like when all the girls go in, like my daughter went in and sat down, and like he like put his arm around her, and like it was kind of cool. You know what I mean?
It's,
Like
it is cool. Yeah.
it was
I
kind of
would
cool
wanna
to
see
see.
that.
And you're like, that's interesting.
They have
But
a
there's a-
big,
there's-
they have
I
a big
mean-
real werewolf culture down there too.
Really?
Yeah, I really want to do a voodoo podcast, but I need to find somebody that's in the voodoo that knows enough about it. So if anybody wants to do one, let me know.
I wonder if
I
they
want to do
just-
one.
Why we can't find one is because those people that do it don't want to talk about it.
Nah, maybe
That
there's
might
something
be
to
a
that.
part of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Part of the lore, part of the mystique. Not the
I'm-
mystique, but
that's-
part of actually working it is you
Yeah.
Yeah.
cannot.
Because you never get to see
Advocate
anyone
for yourself.
exploit it or talk about it. I've never really seen it. Like,
No, you
No.
really, yeah.
so it'd be
I
interesting.
don't know.
No.
Maybe they believe it so much that it's something I don't want to mess with. I don't know.
Well, there
Yeah,
are
true.
things like that in art lore here in America. That
Sure.
that's great. Exorcist is a big one.
Yeah.
You could believe in it, you could not, but you don't want to find out. You know,
You don't want to be on the other end of that.
Yeah,
God
exactly.
no. I wouldn't even. I wouldn't even want to be in the room with one of those things.
Yeah.
I don't even want to be in earshot.
Yeah.
I mean, they train them.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
kinda-
no, like I can.
I kind of
I
want
can
to
do
watch
I
one.
can do the paranormal, I can do the UFOs, I can do the cryptids, I can do all of that stuff. But when you get into people distorting their face because of an
Yeah,
exorcist,
I mean,
whether it's a mental health thing or a possession, that's it, man. I can't do that.
yeah, that would be. No,
Next week we have a special
kinda-
guest doing an Exorcist live,
Yeah.
and he has to
Yeah.
watch it.
I know.
I'm getting Tyler an exorcist, do an exorcist on him on the show.
It's exactly right. Yeah, I'll be on too, and I'll be like, "So where did you get your
Yeah.
start doing all this?"
You just see him. You just see his back the whole time to the camera because he doesn't want to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
it was.
I'd feel very uncomfortable too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to an exorcist. I can talk to the priest. I can talk all about the different stories of that. But if you're telling me, "Hey, Tom, through that door right there is an exorcist,"
It's going to change your life.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm old enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, you gotta have. I guess you gotta be a certain kind of person to be fascinated. I kind of am.
That man right there. I'm just pointing right at Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my fascination about this stuff that's going to get me in trouble one day because I don't know what the line is because I'm so intrigued.
I think you would know when you got to it.
Well, yeah,
you might not know now, but
right.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a different story when I walk in and the guy's head spinning around. I'm like, I'm gonna go. This is cool.
He's like, do not go in there, man. Do not go in.
You guys validate parking because I'm out.
And then somebody telling you, "Look, dude, they're not real. It doesn't happen." You're like, bull.
Yeah. Yep. And how do you explain that to someone? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't believe.
Well, they would be dead. Their spinal cord. Well,
yeah,
they would. They'd be dead. But
well, they were dead.
I just don't have to explain it to the cops when they get there. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I want to leave. I want to leave just before that happens.
French Quarter cops between the drunks and then you have the paranormal subculture. Imagine the stories they got called out to.
Man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, some crazy ones out there.
I could talk to those people all day, probably.
Oh yeah, and if you are a Louisiana police officer, New Orleans, French Quarter, or anywhere, I would love to do a little special cop stories too. That would be cool.
100%.
That'd be awesome.
I was talking to a guy from the UK. I was trying to get him on a podcast, but it just the timing is so off. It's tough to do, but he's a police officer over there, and he has a lot of paranormal experiences being a police officer. And we're trying so hard to work it out, but he's got some great stories that he's even told like on Facebook and stuff, like bits and pieces of them. But
that'd be fun to get.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one to get for sure.
That would be wonderful.
Yep.
All right, Tyler.
Where are we going? We're going to Allagash, Maine.
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 Way up there.
I don't think I have anything bad to say about
the Allagash alien abduction, unearthly encounters.
Oh, an abduction?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I don't think this is the first one of the 50. I think.
I think it is, right?
Abduction? Yeah, I think so.
This one is in the summer of 1976. A group of 4 friends embarked on a camping trip to a remote wilderness of Allagash, Maine. What began as a simple retreat into nature would soon transform into a surreal and otherworldly experience that defied explanation. This is the story of the Allagash alien abductions. It says unearthly encounters, a night that forever changed the lives of the men Charles, Chuck, Jim, and Jack. And those 2 were twins. We're all camping. However, what happened propelled them into a realm of unexplained phenomena and sparking mystery among seekers of the unknown. What they saw and experienced that night changed their lives forever. Not one, but all 4 were abducted by strange alien beings. Firstly, under the canvas of the stars, it was a beautiful, clear August evening. Therefore, the friends paddled their canoes across the serene waters of Eagle Lake, leaving behind the familiar world. The allure of solitude and the beauty of the wilderness beckoned them further into the heart of Allagash Wilderness Waterway, thus far away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. and it shows a picture of them. I wish I sent it to you. Let me get back to the story. It says that their tranquil camping trip took an airy turn when a mysterious luminous object appeared in the night sky, hovering over the water. It casts an otherworldly glow that captivated and unsettled them. What happened next was beyond their comprehension, as they found themselves unexpectedly drawn towards the transitioning to their account of the encounter. The friends recall their inability to resist the strange force that seemed to guide them. Their next memory was them being inside an unidentified flying object, unable to control their own movements. This marked the beginning of the night that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. It says, inside the alien craft, the friends underwent a series of bizarre and invasive medical examinations at the hands of non-human entities. These examinations left them physically and emotionally scarred, raising questions about the nature of their captors and purposes behind the unsettling procedures. It says, transitioning to their recollections, the friends vividly remember the paralysis that rendered them powerless during the examinations. The passage of them became hazy, and they were subjected to scrutiny by their unearthly captors. The experience was a traumatic blend of unexpectable and the horrifying. That's all it said right there. It says, in the wake of their own harrowing experiences, Charles, Chuck, Jim, and Jack were left with a profound need for answers. The Allagash alien abductions, unearthly encounters, had irrevocably altered the course of their lives, and they couldn't ignore the pressing questions that lingered. The thought and guidance of experts, including renowned hypnotist Dr. Benjamin Simon, who conducted hypnotic regression sessions to journey deeper into their memories. Under hypnosis, the friends revealed even more astonishing details about their encounter. They recounted conversations with their otherworldly captors, describing a strange form of communication that transcended language. These revelations raise intriguing questions about the intentions and motivations of the extraterrestrial beings they had encountered. They consistently, in their accounts under hypnosis, lent further credence to their extraordinary story, leaving researchers and skeptics alike pondering the profound implications of the Allagash abductions. It says, in conclusion, the Allagash abductions remain and I can't pronounce that word, but I'll go chapter in the Journals of Extraordinary Encounters. The night that forever altered their lives of Charles, Chuck, Jim, and Jack stands as a testament to the mysterious and unexplained forces that may exist beyond our comprehension. While skeptics and behaviors conclude the debate and the authenticity of their account, one thing is certain: the Allagash abductions have left an incredible mark on those who have experienced them. When it says, whether seen as a vivid tale or a shared nightmare or a profound revelation of extraterrestrial contact, nevertheless, this perplexing incident challenges us to keep an open mind and exploring boundaries of the unexplained. Crazy.
And Maine, New England, they're
Yeah.
very underrated for the amount of stories that come from there.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They have a lot of creepy things that go on up in the forest up that way. When you think of abductions, and even abductions in the Northeast, you think of Betty and Barney Hill probably before you come to this one.
Sure.
Always,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, and then you have the Fire in the Sky loggers, from
Yeah.
Arizona. It's a shame that their story gets sort of drowned out by some of the more popular known ones.
Yeah.
But it fits all of it really does. It fits all of the criteria for the abductions. Multiple people.
Yeah.
It has the medical experiments, the ruralness of it,
Mhm.
and not remembering anything, but coming back for hypnosis regression
Yeah.
to remember those things. I think I would be brave enough to do a hypnosis regression, if I
would.
had that, a story of missing time or things like that. But
Oh,
also
for
the
sure.
past life regression, I
Mhm.
think I would be brave, and I would do that on camera too. I would, if there was
Yeah.
any way to do that. But
Reminds me of the
yeah.
movie The Fourth Kind when they do that
Yes, exactly.
in Alaska.
Speaking of people contorting their faces, those home movies on there, they were creepy, and then the Sumerian and
Extremely.
all of that.
Yeah, the
That took
Sumerian
place
stuff
in-
is crazy.
That took place in Nome, Alaska, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another portion that I was going to bring into it was
Yeah.
that the woods have watchers where
Mhm.
where theoretically UFOs, aliens take on an animal form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That way. And up there it was what the white owl, the snow owl.
Mhm.
And here it could be something else. But man, it's a wonderful story, and we just don't get many abduction ones that make it through or even out of the mouths of the storytellers.
Yep.
Makes you wonder how many that are out there that you never hear about, but they're probably amazing stories. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just
Are are you talking about like the people that don't want to say it out loud? So they
yeah,
don't-
like the people that don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
the people that have like big deal jobs that you can't really say shit like that, and
Yeah.
that would discredit them somehow and in
know.
life. But I gotta imagine there's some great stories out there, man, that's just waiting to be told.
Well, in addition to that, Ian, except you have that portion, but how many people just don't remember?
Yeah.
That's another. I mean, that's another thing. Yeah, and you talked about hypnosis and like stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Like, is this something that happens to more people? But when we hear of the people that remember it and talk about it, it was like sort of a malfunction on the medical part of the UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, say, it could have happened to all three of us. We don't remember anything because it was done.
It could look like a dream, or like Tyler knows I have some crazy dreams. Like any one of them could be like something that happened to me that
He'll come into work
I
and
just
like,
don't
the dream I
remember.
had made no sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it just a
I'm
lot of
fascinated with that
craziness
because
going on.
I lack in that department. My dreams are like I'm in line at a bank. Like I don't.
Oh no, my dreams
Son of a
are.
bitch, I'm
I
gonna
don't
be
have any
late.
crazy stories.
We're closing in 5 minutes. I haven't cashed my check yet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, can I get a pizza?
Wild
with
Tom over
pepperoni?
there.
Yeah.
Calm down, buddy. You're getting out of control.
That's when you need to go ahead and just practice your lucid dreaming methods, and then get into it so you can remember.
I would like to
Yeah.
be hypnotized and talk about my dreams and stuff like that, because some of them are just so crazy they have to mean something. Like,
Have you bought a book or did any online research or anything?
No, I haven't put that much thought into it, but it's
Something to
we
look
had
into. You have
we
extra
had a
time.
hypnotist. We had a hypnotist on the show.
Yeah, that guy was awesome.
Judgmentalist, man. He was such a great interview. But he does more like stage hypnosis. He doesn't do like medical hypnosis. But he works with people that actually do. I guess there's a very big difference between doing, stage stuff and then medical stuff.
Showmanship too.
Yeah, for sure. But he said, I mean, the idea is basically the same. You got to reach that mental state or whatever. But I, like you said, like for past life stuff, I would love to do that. I would love to hear what I would say.
Yeah. And talking back, this is back with Label Paranormal. Talking to a few of them, they would say, I get mixed answers. I would say they're not supposed to do that, or you can do that if you don't tell certain things. You know what I mean? And then you have the Akashic records too, that some people are like, nope, you're not supposed to do that. So I think there's a little bit of even crazy to sound, but infighting in that hypnotist world.
100%. 100%.
I agree with
he even actually talked about some of that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, really?
You're right. That's 100% true.
I'll have to catch your episode on that one because that stuff does fascinate me. And if there's any way to make it easier in this iteration, you know what I mean?
Really good at explaining it. If you watch the podcast,
no,
that's what I'm looking for, Tyler. I'm looking for the explanation. But the stories are great, but explain it to me in a way I can,
right.
Yeah. Oh, this guy would be the one that you'd want to talk to for answers for that. Like, and if not, he has someone that knows the answers to the questions you have. But that guy was pretty educated on that stuff.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So that was a wonderful story from Allagash, Maine. Yeah, we really don't have anything bad to say about Maine, so they're still,
Oh,
tune
I
in
got
next
stuff.
15.
We have one state left that we have.
Yeah.
Can't fuck it up.
You know
Yeah.
what? I did really good on Maine. Don't start now, Tyler.
You know what?
Okay.
How's
really
it feel
well.
to have the second most popular Portland?
Yeah.
See, you're gonna provoke me and start, and then
I know. You know, I don't like Maynards.
Maynards.
Or whatever they're
Maynards.
called.
Maynards. I don't think that's a flattering. I don't know. I'm not sure it's a flattering name for
No.
him,
What did you
I'm
just say?
Wait, let's make
I'm
that
gonna-
shirt for this.
but I'm gonna call him
It'll
that
be
from now
lowercase
on because of you.
M-A-I and capital Nerds.
I like it.
Every other letters capitalized.
So you from Maine? No, I just blasted them on my network.
Someone's gonna have that as a podcast now. Maynards.
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 All right, we got 20 minutes. Do you guys think we have time to jump into Roswell?
I mean, I'm down.
All right.
Yeah. I'm
You know the
down
funny
for
thing-
it.
A lot. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to cover all of it, but there was one thing. Like, I thought about this as we were going to talk about it today, and I thought about if take the conspiracy theory thing out of it, and just obviously something happened at Roswell, right?
Mhm.
So I wondered what you would find if you were just trying to look up what happened at Roswell from a scientific standpoint, or whatever, however you want to say it. To where I just want to know what the official report was. And I found this little article here. Let me read it real quick. It's actually from Wikipedia. It says the Roswell incident is a conspiracy theory which alleges that the 1947 United States Air Force balloon recovered near Roswell, New Mexico, was actually a crashed extraterrestrial spacecraft operated from the nearby Alamo Gordo Air Force Army Airfield, and part of a top secret project Mogul. The balloon was intended to detect Soviet nuclear tests. After metallic and rubber debris was recovered by Roswell Army Air Force personnel, the United States Army announced their possession of a flying disc. This announcement made international headlines, but was retracted within a day, obscuring the true purpose and source of the crashed balloon. The Army subsequently stated that it was a conventional weather balloon. So that's what they're going with.
That's what they're going with.
I'm on Team UFO, but
I am
Me
on
too.
Team UFO. Team UFO. I am on that too. And let me show you this because I FOIA'd how much have we heard all of this stuff. Blue Book was basically started because of this,
right, yeah.
So let me get this up, this screenshot. This is the only page that is allowed when you FOIA Roswell. One page,
Wow.
even with blackouts. You see them?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the FOIA document from the Air Force clearly says disk.
Yeah.
Attempting to break a story of location of disc today. Interesting.
It does mention the weather
truth.
balloon and things like that, and
Yeah.
a radar reflector.
But they added some truth to that story.
I don't know if it was a Freudian slip. No further investigation being conducted. That's not true.
Mhm.
Look at that. 7/8/47. Just wanted to show that, America, that
That's
in the government document, the government official document
Yeah.
of the investigation says disk.
I had actually not heard of Project Mogul before I started reading this. But apparently, according to the military, in 1947, the United States had launched thousands of top secret Project Mogul balloons carrying devices to listen for Soviet atomic tests.
If there was thousands of balloons, wouldn't you think we would have heard about it by now?
I agree.
Thousands? And they thought
I think
one
you
of
would-
them was a spacecraft?
I think you would have more than one that crashed too. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
talking about 47. Technology is not fantastic yet. It's probably good enough, but
Yeah.
if you have
We're all
one balloon
familiar
that
with
goes,
this- with these,
Oh, this is the
the pictures
farmer
of
that
the
collected
debris. Yeah.
that many say was never there. It was a disc-shaped craft, and then
Yeah.
this all of a sudden appears. So I just wanted to throw that out there too for everyone, but didn't mean to cut you off.
Now, was that debris? Now, is that supposed to be debris that they actually found, or is that them saying, "Look at the weather balloon"?
What was that?
You know what I mean? Is that supposed to be debris that was actually found from the site, or is that supposed to be like, "Look, it was a weather balloon. Here's the
in the second picture, the one with
So,
bits of it."
so I had a guest on Chasing Pro. One of the first episodes that I did Chasing Prophecy with Jenny. We had on the son of the guy who took that photo.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when we had, and I mentioned him because he didn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, this is America. What are you talking about? So it was a fight to get information.
That's why you're
out.
here.
Yeah. You're like, get the hell. No.
I know what you mean, but wanting those
trying
answers.
I'm like, I'll beg. I'll aim the camera down. I ain't got an ego like that. I'll do it. But, he said that the original craft was loaded on and sent to Nellis. It was loaded on the back of a truck, sent to Nellis. If you notice, I'll put it back up with this guy. This is in a house.
Yeah.
This is in a house that's nearby, wherever he is.
So didn't the farmer, even though they took some stuff, he still had some hidden?
There was reports that he had some.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
But I think they came back.
But here it is now. If this is in a house, that's a radiator. That's somebody's front window or dining room window with the chairs right there. Here's even better. You can see the front door.
Yeah.
They brought this back to somebody's house to stage, if you want to talk about it that way, but took everything back here to take these photos and say, this is the material that it was. Nobody. And this is coming from history of people talking about this that were there, and this sort of deathbed, but not deathbed, recounts later on that no, they got that disc out of there before the media was there.
Yeah.
Media comes back, everything's gone. We're doing analyzation because they wanted to control the story because for all they knew back then, it could have been Russian. It could have been. They have no idea.
Sure.
So when you have all of that, they needed to correct the story. It's the diversion. Okay, here, fine. Come tomorrow. We'll turn over what we got. We want to make everybody aware of it. That's what they brought out. That looks like the top of a Jiffy Pop container.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what that looks like. If you just use your eyes, you see that there's no way something made of that could cause that crater in the ground.
Yeah.
Not to mention your reports are naming discs, and you turn over one page that says discs. It also says weather balloon, but you also slipped and put disc in there.
Yep.
So what is it?
Is that now? I take that as they were talking about the media trying to project that there was a disc, or suggest that there was a disc that was recovered. I don't know if they were actually saying like they found the disc. I don't know. I guess I'm reading it differently.
Reading
the page,
the FOIA paper that you put up. But so they launched. But as far as the balloons go, they said on June 4th, researchers at Alamogordo Army Airfield launched a long train of these balloons. They lost contact within 17 miles of W.W. Mack Brazel's ranch. That's the guy where the whole thing went down, where the balloons subsequently crashed. Later that month, Brazel discovered tinfoil, rubber, tape, and thin wooden beams scattered across several acres of his ranch. Didn't they find like metal beams too that were like almost indestructible or something?
Yeah. Couldn't be bent, couldn't be messed with.
They were small strips of metal. I think I saw in one documentary they were talking about.
But the thing is, if one of those crashed, wouldn't it be more believable if you saw in the newspaper articles or anything that we've ever looked up that they said of thousands of those? They didn't say anything about any of them being in the sky. Not one. You never.
Well, they're supposed to be. They were supposed to be secret because they're spying on Russia.
Be secret, but I mean, you can see a one of those kind of balloons way up there, and it can't be that small because the wind would just take it. You know.
So here's another point. Brazel discovered tinfoil, rubber, tape, and thin wooden beams scattered across several acres. So you got to assume aliens aren't using wood to build ships.
No,
I mean, I would guess. So if they did find wooden beams, that would lend to the balloon theory, of course.
Mhm.
very true.
Wooden beams you're not going to find in an alien spacecraft, you would assume.
You wouldn't find wooden beams in a hot air balloon either.
Well,
Or
I
a
mean,
red
maybe they
balloon.
put a they had a container on it that had like cameras or whatever, whatever listening devices or whatever they were however they were trying to do it.
I mean, a lot of people at the initial time and the initial reports could very well have thought it was just a balloon because you don't know what you're looking at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to assume that it's something that we own or we did.
Sure. Because at this point, UFOs aren't widely discussed.
No, this is what kicked it off.
Yeah.
I totally believe that our human infatuation and then the subsequent, after about 20 years or so, it started making its way into movies and film and things. I think this is definitely what kicked off the fascination. Whether UFOs have been around and call it and all that kind of stuff beforehand, this was the one. You know what I mean? That kicked it all off. A little known fact too is that Project Mogul, where they claimed it was a balloon, the launch of a balloon, that they claimed that this was canceled that day. So there were no balloons in the air, which is leading to speculation that, okay, if you don't have one in the air, we'll just say it was one and rip up the one you got here and take it over to this house.
Well, they say there was thousands launched, so I wonder over what period of time they were launching. Was it a month? Was it a week? Like, how often were they launching them to where there's thousands?
Unless they haven't launched any of them yet in there.
I mean, they suggest that they actually launched them. There's a little map on the side of what I'm reading that has like different.
The only thing is
it
only going to be one failing out of thousands that falls?
Well, that was kind of my point. Like, the technology is what it is.
Yeah.
You take 1,000 of them and put them up there. What's the odds that one fail and you don't have any other failures?
One. Yeah.
But maybe there were other failures and people just said, okay, yeah, it is a balloon. Like, it was obvious, to play devil's advocate a little bit. Like, maybe it was obviously balloon on that one.
Yeah.
But
devil's advocate. That's why we're, that's why we do this, is to kick back and forth the different theories. I do believe there was balloon material brought to Roswell.
I agree.
My argument is it wasn't the one that came out of the sky. It was brought there for us.
Well, that would be for publicity purposes.
Yes.
To stage it for sure. I mean, that's.
You want to talk about a remote area where this can happen? It's the Roswell, New Mexico, Texas border.
Yeah.
Even today, have you guys checked out like Roswell Fest? It's the biggest convention around.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fly into another town and drive.
Hours. There's no airport in Roswell.
There is, but I think it only does like the little charters, right?
I'm not flying into it. I'm gonna get a car and fly into somewhere that has electricity.
Yeah.
Well, there goes our Roswell fans.
Yeah, Jesus, we're
losing them all.
We're losing them all. But Roswell,
I like New Mexico too, man. Geez.
I do too. If the state has never done anything to me, I like it.
It's given us so much material.
It has. It really has. Like, imagine if you were if you were New Mexico's second most popular UFO story. Like, imagine.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like something crashes on in your backyard of your townhouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, no, this really happened. They're like, yeah, but it's not Roswell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always going to be second fiddle. You're never going to be you're never going to be the big story.
No. You want a story? Go crash in North Dakota.
Yeah.
There
Exactly.
they go.
Crash somewhere that doesn't have an already famous crash.
Yeah.
You got to be the first or your last. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Ricky
no, it's
Bobby, come
exactly
on.
right. Yeah, it's exactly right. How many there's other stories in PA, other than Kecksburg. There's other stories in Washington, state. There's other stories in California.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but we're going to think of the Battle of LA,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Mhm.
I thought they could have done a lot better with that movie too. I was
Yeah.
really excited for that.
I hear you on that one.
Publicity of Arnold. So I'm reading this thing. They said that there was a wave of over 800 sightings, and I'm assuming, I guess they kicked off a flying saucer bonanza of
I can
Yeah.
imagine
flying saucer
that.
reports.
I wouldn't too.
At that point, everything's probably a UFO. You know what I mean?
Oh, so true.
Everything you
Just
see
the
in the
way they
sky
said
is
it.
probably, like anything out of the ordinary is probably a UFO at that point, just because of the excitement and the frenzy around it.
Yeah.
And no one ever
And
saw
that-
another weather balloon in that area ever again.
Yeah.
No.
And just like
And
that, all the
that's
weather
fair
balloons are
too.
gone.
People just would react that way. Is this more? You know what I mean? Does this mean more things are coming? What about the alien invasion on the radio, the Orson Welles?
Yeah.
Mhm.
This can't be too far removed from that, right? Wasn't that in the 30s?
I think so. Yeah.
So
I
within
don't know
10
the time.
years, people are like, oh no, not again.
Yeah. Orson.
Well, I love it. I love
1938 was War of the
What's it?
Worlds. Yeah.
So that's 9 years,
Yeah.
man. So your
That's-
attention's already heightened.
That's a whole crazy story in and of itself, is the way they did that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
causing panic across everywhere.
yeah. You really hear the stories like from New Jersey, people running out into the streets, looking up, and
Yeah.
all of that. And God bless them Jerseyans. Enough's been said about them, but I'm not gonna kick a dead horse. I'm not gonna pile on.
I'll let you
Definitely
be.
lost New Jersey.
Yeah. Just in case they were thinking of turning us back
Yeah,
on.
that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah,
Listen, hopefully time heals all wounds and everyone forgives.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Or this is going to come back years later,
Yeah.
and they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Did you hear what they said about Jersey right when we're big and popular?"
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. Did you hear what
You
they
know
said
that
about
you know that
Jersey?
one thing that people bring up, 20 years later and like have
Yeah.
to cancel you. This is going to be it.
Cancel
Yeah.
culture.
It'll
It's gonna
be
happen.
our "you farted in 7th grade" story.
Yes, I feel like if
People
we
don't-
put a,
People don't
I feel
forget.
like if we have enough of those moments, they really can't like pinpoint one to get us with.
That's true. That's true. We'll flood
just-
it with more.
You just
That's
bombard
exactly
them
it.
with this stuff.
Then they join it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, you
exactly it.
guys. No, I mean,
So
hopefully we
so-
keep doing this every year and come up with just more different stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
so much
So
fun.
Roswell brings you to Area 51. I know
Yes.
you had Area 51. I think at this point is probably just a big nothing. I feel like everything has been moved and all the operations are somewhere else now, because they probably still do, airplane training and testing and stuff out there, but any of the good stuff I think has been moved. I think the name of the one place is Building 8 or Site 8 or something, where they keep
S4?
or
S4.
S4 and
S4,
S8,
yeah.
I think. So it's all off site now, according to reports. But
Yeah, I
Area
agree.
51 is
I just hope with the years ahead of us that there's going to be whistleblowers about that. And they can't stop it.
that could be the next one to come down
Yeah.
at one of these Air Force bases,
Mhm.
and not so much the overall military. You're exactly right about that. And Ian, I agree with you with that. But they're going to keep Area 51 funded, and they're
for
going to
sure.
keep Area 51 in operation.
for sure.
And even if it's just the HR hub, you know what I mean? A
Yeah.
payroll hub.
Yeah.
Well, even if it's just that, the fact that it's that secret and the fact that it's still operational will keep your American eyes there,
Oh, yeah.
and not at Nellis, not at Wright Pat. not any of the surrounding ones that could have that.
There was a funny episode. I don't know if you ever watched MacGyver when we were younger, but the new MacGyver that was out, they were lost in the desert and they found Area 51 and they get there and there's just 2 guards like for the whole place. It's just 2 guards like watching TV and playing video games and there's nothing else there. I'm like, you know what? That's probably more than likely what's there. You know what I mean? Just a couple fat guys playing video games and eating pizzas.
I immediately aligned with what those security guards are. That's the masculine urge to be a nighttime watchman and walk down hallways with a gun. That's something. That is something that all cryptid hunters, paranormal lovers, UFO hunters, whatever you want to call it, that's an urge that we all have. We want to be that night watchman. We want to have a feed wall, and we want to stand there and look at it with our hands behind our backs and wait for something to happen.
With a big flashlight on your side. And ready
to backlight that would get anybody touching. You know what I mean? That's the urge that I'm talking about.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. Area 51. If I retire, right? Some government comes and says you're head of security at Area 51. I'm done.
I'm there. I'm there. I'm done. I don't care. I don't even care if it's an empty building. I'll go and stare at empty walls. I just want to be the guy walking around there and maybe they left something. I don't know.
My first request wouldn't be how much am I getting paid. It would be like, do you have like a badge or a card that I can give people that says my title?
Yep. It has to say Area 51, my name and my title. That's all I wanted to say.
Yep. Someone's got to come out eventually that works there. It has to happen.
Well, what about how do we feel about Bob Lazar?
Oh man.
So because
Bob Lazar is either completely full of shit ever seen, or there's a lot of validity to the things that he says.
And I want to go that route. I don't think he's completely bullshit.
He's never changed much. I mean, it's always consistent. It's always the same. There's enough. You know what I think the most interesting part about him is that he doesn't claim to know everything, right? So he only knows bits and pieces about it. Because his job, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the most interesting thing to me is that like he's not trying to, overstate things. He's just, he doesn't know what was happening upstairs on a second level because he wasn't allowed on the second level of some of these ships, right? Like there was a team there was a level 2, a level 1, like everybody had a job. Like if you were the floor mopper, you mopped floor. That's what you did. That's all you did.
It's true. Yeah.
And that's the most interesting part.
You know who sort of corroborated that years and years later was David Grush in the whistleblower testimonies when they said everything is siloed off.
Yes,
if my job is to take, this pen and put it in a piece of paper and roll it,
that's what
I hand off the next one. I don't know what happened before me, and I don't know what happened after me.
Yeah, exactly.
So when he said that, I go back to the Fox interview, and was it 1989 or so? Mm-hmm. That's been repeated all over time. I go back to that, and he's still saying the same thing.
Yeah, he never changes.
Just a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a level of authenticity to that to me is believable. I don't know if everything that he says is true, but
I would like.
It's hard for me to discredit him because everything he says makes sense to me. The way he explains why things are the way they are makes sense to me. Like why I don't know about what's happening upstairs is because I'm not allowed to know, and it was never my job to ask. So I just did what they told me to do. That adds a lot to it for me.
Yeah, it's one thing if he's coming in saying, "Oh, I snuck upstairs and saw this," or "I did this," and no, he's like, "Oh, I don't know because I wasn't there."
Just and also about it.
Yeah, and the validity goes up when it goes on in time, and he's not out there with his own show. He's not out there doing it. He's just a dude.
Yeah,
he doesn't even do a lot of interviews. Like he did one with Rogan.
Doesn't.
He did one with Joe Rogan.
Maybe on one hand specials that he actually appeared in.
Yep.
And Joe Rogan said it took him years to get him on the show. Like he begged and pleaded.
A lot of
and did
those
everything.
interviews were back then, way back then.
We're trying to
then.
get him to come on the shows, and he just doesn't do interviews about it. Which if I'm lying about something, I guess that's the route I would take too. I would try to stay out of the light. Drop my story and run type deal. I guess
I can see. That's true. I can see people that would do that where I don't want to be caught in something I said and I say something else here.
The more interviews you do, the better chance you have of fucking up and being like, oh yeah, all you got to do is slip up a little bit. And there's people that watch every word.
Yeah.
So
because they're being paid.
Let's
say everything he said is true. That pissed a lot of people off.
A lot of people off.
Oh yeah,
for sure, 100%.
Bob,
so
if you would like to come on.
Oh God, what I would do today.
We got Bob Lazar. I'm marketing to everything. I'm finding every Facebook group. I'm finding every single thing.
I mean, for that interview, oh man.
Yeah. And no one will watch. LinkedIn, kicked off every state, pissed off every state.
Yeah,
actually, no one will watch because our NSA agent would turn the feeds off.
We would have the greatest Bob Lazar interview ever, and no one would see it.
I know. No, you're exactly right. People are watching on their stream, and Bob's like, I can't. I got
podcast that never happened.
This is something I told you. This is something I never told anybody.
Black screen.
Yep.
Yeah. Even for us. Even for we wouldn't see each other.
All of our power would go out together. Like everybody's electricity would just go out.
Show.
Yeah. I love that show, by the way.
I did too, man. I did too.
That was a great show.
That's worth a rewatch to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk. This is what we do. We talk about aliens and we promote other shit. That's what we.
Yeah.
They ended it in such a. Oh man, they should have finished it. They need to come back and finish it.
Yeah, a lot of shows do get that bump from, or have gotten that bump from streaming. So maybe they'll be one of those ones to get back on that way. Because look, some shows miss their mark. They resonate with an audience that might be 5 years away from being ready to watch.
Yep.
Yeah. And now, with streaming, everything is just easier to watch. You don't have to be home at 7:00 on Friday night. You know what I mean? Like it's
exactly.
You just got to have a TV at some point. Like that's really all you got to do. So streaming makes everything easier.
iPad.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Can't beat it.
It's wonderful. Bob, please. We're looking at you, Bob Lazar. Come on.
just come on. It's fine.
We'll mail you an Amazon card.
Yeah. let it happen, Bob. Don't fight it.
Yeah.
Lean into it, Bob.
$10 off. $10 off the federal government report. You can get an Annie Ann's pretzel and a small Coke.
Absolutely. You can supersize the Coke.
Nothing wrong with that.
You can supersize the Coke, Bob. I got you.
When you get a fresh Annie Ann's smell wafting around at Walmart or
oh man, you are not
Universal
wrong.
Studios. Every time I'm like, I can smell Annie Ann's.
You are not wrong.
I can.
They have this hot dog pretzel thing. Oh, it's so good.
One of the greatest inventions. Yeah, that hot dog pretzel. It is.
It's like a foot-long hot dog wrapped in a pretzel. Yeah. Oh man,
with cheese. Oh my god, it's
over.
That's it.
It's good.
All right, everyone. Thank you for another episode, Ian, Tyler. Always a pleasure with that. I can't wait to.
Always, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to kick off next week and come down the home stretch on this.
We'll be wrapping it up next week.
Wrapping it up, yes. And to you out there, thank you for tuning in. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Rumble, Instagram Live as well. And we have the Oracle Talk Radio Network app that you can download from the iOS or Google Play Store, where you can listen to all of our great content around the clock. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time, next week, 7 o'clock for our final 2-hour special on our 50 States, 50 UFO Stories countdown to Halloween. So thank you, everyone, so much, and have a great night.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Have a great one.